With a determination I didn't know I possessed, every all-nighter, every missed social event, every extra shift, it was all working toward my goal. My future. Before I knew it, 2 years had passed. As I sat in the auditorium on graduation day, waiting for my name to be called, I scanned the crowd. A small part of me hoped to see a familiar face. My mom, my dad, even my sister, Amber. But the seats I'd reserved remained empty. Life after college was like stepping into a whole new world. I landed a job at a marketing firm and suddenly, I had a steady income that wasn't just scraping by. For the first time in years, I could breathe easy. I rented my own apartment, nothing fancy, but it was all mine. No roommates, no family drama, just peace and quiet. And let me tell you, it was glorious. I started doing all those normal things I'd missed out on before. I went on dates, made new friends, even had a couple of short-lived relationships. Nothing serious, but it was fun to just be young and carefree for once. My parents were still in the picture, but barely. We talked maybe once a month. Stilted conversations, full of awkward silences and thinly veiled disapproval. They were still sore about me moving out, and I wasn't exactly rushing to mend fences. Then came my 25th birthday. I had plans with friends, nothing wild, just dinner and drinks. But a week before, I got a call from my mom. "Madeline," she said, her voice oddly cheerful. "We want you to come over for your birthday. The whole family will be there." Against my better judgment, I agreed. When I arrived at my parents' house, it was like stepping back in time. Amber and her husband were there, the twins, now 7 years old, running around like little tornadoes. My cousin Liam, aunts, uncles, everyone was milling about, all smiles and hugs. "Happy birthday, Maddie," they chorused as I walked in. I plastered on a smile, accepting hugs and well wishes. Then came the gifts. Most were typical: clothes, books, gift cards. But then Mom handed me an envelope with a flourish. "This is from all of us," she said, beaming. I opened it, my stomach sinking as I saw what was inside. A ticket to a beach resort. Dad announced proudly. "A big family vacation. We've paid for everything." I froze. A family vacation, with the twins. It was my ruined beach trip all over again. I opened my mouth to refuse, but Mom squeezed my arm, whispering harshly, "Don't you dare make a scene. Not in front of everyone." So I smiled and thanked them, all the while screaming internally. As the party wound down, relatives trickled out. Finally, it was just us, me, Mom, Dad, Amber, and her family. That's when I let loose. "I'm not going," I said flatly. "What?" Amber gasped. "But it's a family trip." "Exactly," I replied. "And I'm not interested in spending my vacation babysitting your kids again." Amber burst into tears. "You don't love us at all, do you? You don't care about your nephews." "I care about them just fine," I snapped. "But if I wanted kids, I'd have my own." The argument went round and round. Mom called me ungrateful. Dad looked disappointed. Amber kept crying. They all tried to guilt me. Pressure me into giving in. "Fine," I said finally, my voice tired. "I'll go." They all looked relieved, like they'd won some great victory. But they had no idea what was coming. The day of departure arrived, and I found myself at the airport, surrounded by my overly cheerful family. Amber and her husband were practically bouncing with excitement, already making plans for all the alone time they'd have while I watched the twins. "You'll have so much fun with Aunt Maddie," Amber told the boys, winking at me. "She'll take you to the beach, build sandcastles, maybe even go snorkeling." Mom and Dad were beaming too, going on about how nice it would be for Amber to have a break. Not once did anyone ask what I wanted to do on this vacation. It was clear, they all saw me as nothing more than a convenient babysitter. As we approached the check-in counter, I made my move. "Oh," I exclaimed, faking discomfort. "I need to use the restroom. You guys go ahead and check in, I'll meet you at the gate." They nodded, distracted by wrangling luggage and excited children. I watched them join the queue, then turned and walked briskly in the opposite direction. My heart was pounding as I approached a different check-in counter. I handed over my passport and the ticket I'd bought weeks ago. A flight to a small, peaceful island resort. Once through security, I found a quiet corner and pulled out my phone. My hands shook slightly as I typed out a message to Mom. "I'm not coming with you. I'm going on my own vacation. Enjoy your trip." I hit send and immediately turned off my phone, not wanting to deal with the fallout just yet. I could almost hear the explosion of anger and disbelief that would be happening at the other check-in counter. As I settled into my seat on the plane, I turned my phone back on briefly. It immediately exploded with notifications, missed calls, voicemails, angry texts. I listened to one voicemail from Mom. Her voice was shrill and furious. "Madeline Grace Carter, how dare you abandon your family like this? You've ruined everything. Your sister is in tears, her husband is furious, they were counting on you to watch the boys, and I had plans. You were the most selfish, ungrateful." As the plane took off, I sipped my champagne and gazed out the window. The guilt was still there, a small knot in my stomach. I knew I'd have to deal with the fallout eventually. Angry phone calls, tearful accusations, another round of being called selfish and ungrateful. But overwhelmingly, I felt free. Light, like I could finally breathe for the first time in as long as I could remember. I was going on a trip that was just for me. No obligations, no babysitting, no family drama, just me, the beach, and whatever I decided I wanted to do. As the plane touched down on the small tropical island, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. The warm breeze that greeted me as I stepped off the plane seemed to whisper, "Welcome to freedom." I checked into my resort, a modest but charming place right on the beach. As I unpacked, curiosity got the better of me and I turned on my phone. Instantly, it exploded with notifications. Hundreds of text messages, missed calls, and voicemails flooded in. With a mix of amusement and trepidation, I scrolled through some of the messages. "How could you do this to us, Mom? You ruined everything. Amber. You're so selfish, Madeline, Dad." I couldn't help but smile. For once, I had chosen myself over their demands. I turned the phone off again and tossed it into the hotel safe. For the next week, I was unreachable. And what a week it was. I lounged on the beach, read books uninterrupted, went snorkeling, even tried my hand at surfing. I chatted with other vacationers, went on a few casual dates, and stayed out as late as I wanted. No schedule, no responsibilities, no screaming kids, just me and the rhythm of the waves. All too soon, it was time to head home. I returned to my apartment tanned, rested, and more centered than I had felt in years. But the real world was waiting to intrude on my newfound peace. The very next day, there was a pounding on my door. I opened it to find Mom and Amber, faces red with anger. "How dare you?" Mom screeched, barging in without invitation. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" Amber wasn't far behind. "You ruined our entire vacation." The boys were devastated. They launched into a tirade, their voices overlapping as they hurled accusations and insults. I was selfish, ungrateful, a terrible daughter and sister. I owed them, for the ticket they bought me, for the vacation I'd ruined, for the child care I'd failed to provide. I let them rant for a few minutes, their words washing over me without sticking. Then, calmly but firmly, I spoke. "That's enough," I said, my voice cutting through their noise. "I don't owe you anything. Not money, not child care, not my time. I'm an adult, and I get to make my own choices." Mom opened her mouth to argue, but I held up a hand. "I'm not discussing this further. Please leave. When you're ready to treat me with respect and have a calm conversation, we can talk. Until then, I think it's best we don't communicate." They stared at me, shocked into silence. Then, with a few more choice words, they stormed out. As the door slammed behind them, I let out a long breath. It wasn't easy, but it felt right. Over the next few weeks, I made some big changes. I found a new apartment in a different part of town and moved without telling my family my new address. I threw myself into my work and picked up new hobbies, painting, yoga, even started learning a new language. It wasn't always easy. There were moments of doubt, pangs of guilt, but every time I came home to my peaceful apartment, every time I made plans without worrying about babysitting duties, every time I pursued a new interest just because I wanted to, I knew I'd made the right choice. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe someday my family and I will find a way to have a healthy relationship. Maybe not. But I do know this. I'll face whatever comes on my own terms, standing tall and unapologetic in the life I've chosen for myself.